Welcome to the Path Less Travel podcast. This week we feature the president of American Millwork, Spencer Lutz. Spence, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I look forward to every interview. This one's a little extra special. You've become a mentor of mine here as of recent, but you've been a mentor, I'm sure, of many, many people over your lifespan. So I don't know if you know Spencer Lutz. If you don't, you'll recognize why you should get to know Spence Lutz, because he's an incredible person and somebody that we're very, very fortunate to have here in our community. So I mentioned we've known each other for a little bit of time. What's one thing people don't know about you?
Well, not everybody knows that I had 4 college basketball players as children. 4 of my children played college basketball.
And was that passed down from your wife Peggy and yourself, or how'd they get into it?
Well, my wife played college volleyball. I did not, though. I was kind of like Larry Bird, but only about 6'1", so I couldn't jump, and I was really slow, so it didn't come from me.
But I've seen your kids play. Did you play hard?
Played hard. So that's I gave that to him, I guess. We played hard.
Well, we'll get into a bunch of stuff about you and your family, but before we do, just tell us a little bit about the company, American Millwork. I know headquartered here in Elkhart, Indiana, but just tell us about the company and maybe even some milestones along the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, so American Millwork was established in the early 1970s by a gentleman named Vaughn Nickel. So American Millwork, we make interior hardwood products for your home. So base and casing and trim around your doors, this table right here in front of us, flooring, stair parts. So anything in the interior of a home made out of real hardwood, that's what we do. And our customer base is the big box stores. So our products go all across the nation, and so the DIYers or the contractors, that's a big portion of our business.
Wow. And how long have you been involved with the company?
So I have been here, I've had the opportunity to be here for a little over 5 years now, almost 5.5 years. So they were a customer of mine, and unbeknownst to me, the company I was with for 27 years had some changes. And then I was commuting to Wisconsin for about 2 years for a supplier of American Millwork, and knew who this company was, and they were local. And I had the opportunity to come on board and kind of learn a new segment of the hardwood business.
You said you commuted to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
So that looked like getting up about 2 a.m. on Monday mornings and putting some podcasts in and listening to some devotionals and driving up to near Green Bay, and then on Friday afternoons driving back and getting to enjoy that Chicago traffic. So did that for almost 2 years.
Wow. What was that experience like?
It was kind of like I'm spiritual. So I believe in Jesus Christ and I follow him. So for me, it was my time in the desert, and I was just it was a time where it wasn't what I wanted to do, but it made me better. It made me appreciate things and made me grow. So it was good.
So you've had the president role here for
a little over 5 years. I came in as the president.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's happened in your last 5 years, and then maybe what's on the horizon for the company?
So when I came in here a little over 5 years ago, the original owner, who had sold the business back in 2005, I believe, I might have that date wrong, but he decided he was going to buy the company back. The company was struggling a little bit. It was bought from him from a private investment company, and it was kind of to the point where they were draining it pretty good. And he came in 2017 and bought it back, and they were struggling. Lots of great people, but things had changed since he had owned it previously, and he needed some help. So I came in, not really, and I'd been a president before, and I'd been involved with sales, but came in to try to restruct, this company and get get everybody moving in the right direction. So when I came in, we noticed communication was something we were lacking. Lots of great people, but we had a hard time communicating with each other. So we started, just kind of building those blocks again.
And what did that look like? I think it's so interesting to hear somebody step into a role, see a need, and then address it. But every solution is different.
Yes. So we had to come in, and for me, this was a little different, but some of the leadership topics and how a company runs, how you communicate, those were the same. And there was things, so it was kind of like, I've heard people say it's flying a plane, and I really had to rely on the instruments. So I was in the clouds. I could really mess things up because I didn't know all the specifics of, how do you run a molding company? I knew how to run a hardwood company, but not a molding company. So I had to rely on my people, had to listen real well, had to make sure they were communicating with each other. And then we had to make some, hey, we had to add to our team. Where were our deficiencies? So we had to bring some more people on, and we had to put some people in the right positions. So it took time, but 5 years in, we're humming pretty good. We've grown. We had COVID thrown in there, which kind of, threw us for a loop, but we were deemed essential. Everyone wanted to go redo their house during that time. So we had COVID come in, and then we had the bubble effect of COVID. And that was, okay, everyone spent their money. Now it's like this. So what we've spent the last few years doing is diversifying. Okay, what other, industries can we get into? What other products can we make? Where are we going to be in 10 years? Well, we gotta, there's different things that'll lead us down those paths, but we know we want to grow, and we know we want to add good people to our team.
Well, when you talk about growth, let's talk about just your own individual growth over the years. What's it been? Has it been just a combination of things? Has there been a mentor? Is there something that you subscribe to? Is it podcasts? Is it books? I guess, what does growth look like for you?
Well, so when I first got into leadership, I was in my early 20s. I didn't know what I was doing. But, and this is probably before your time, and it's going to date me a little bit, but Nike had a slogan that said, just do it. So I came from the manufacturing realm of, okay, just do it. I wear a Just Do It shirt, and I was just like, hey, let's go, let's go, let's go. Kind of like my basketball days, I would grind through anything. And that helped me grow and climb the corporate ladder and get into do very well in sales because no one would outwork me. I had this one time I remember I got on a plane out of Midway at 5 a.m. to head to Oakland, spent the day out in Oakland, San Jose, going down the course, seeing customers. Then I took the red eye back that night, was back at the office the next morning. So no one would outwork me. But as you grow and you learn, you realize that you can't do that.
Well, let's talk about the work ethic. Where does that come from?
It probably comes from, coming from humble beginnings, So I didn't have the opportunity to go to a state school or anything like that. I was put myself through a community college. I wanted to be a history teacher or a basketball coach. Parents got divorced when I was in high school. So I was kind of putting myself through. So I knew that I had to outwork people to get where I wanted to go.
And who were some of the people along the way that became mentors of yours or helped kind of build some, a certain type of skill set to get you to kind of where you're at today?
There's so many. I mean, I don't think I realized it at the time, but there were so many people that poured into me. I had an uncle that was an amazing role model for me that, I really respected what he did, and he gave me some good advice from time to time. I had the owner of my first company. He was a very good mentor to me. He taught me what he knew. Now, and the owner I have now, another great mentor. Different ways of leading, and that's the thing I guess I've learned over the years is there's so many people that have so many good ways of leading. No one's perfect, and we're always learning. That's the thing. We do these podcasts, and I think leaders are always learning from each other.
So what would be how would you describe your leadership style or your intent of your leadership style to be perceived by others?
Well, it's changed over the years. I went from the guy that's probably annoying and just do it mentality that would grind and grind and grind to a person that now is probably a little more empathetic, listens more, empowers people more. I think, every day I come to work with joy, knowing that it's not about what we're doing here, but it's how we're impacting lives. And we're going to talk about books at some point. I've read so many good books on leadership. There's so much to learn, but there's, Bob Chapman wrote a book on everyone matters. And they're just, we have an opportunity every day, to affect somebody. And that's what's cool. So I'm older now and more mature, got grandkids, but every day I come in here and it's like, okay, everyone's got stuff going on in their life, and we have an opportunity to push them in the right direction, hopefully.
Well, I'm gonna mention a couple of people that you have impacted. I've asked them for their thoughts prior to this, and I'm gonna read a couple of bullet points here just about their thoughts and their impact that you've had, on their life. So Kevin Brandy and Andrew Wodrich. I asked them. I said, when you hear the name Spence, what do you think of? And it was passionate and energetic. He brings boundless energy and enthusiasm to everything he does, always giving his all in every role. He's optimistic and faith-driven, lives with a deep sense of hope and faith, staying positive and committed to his beliefs even through tough times. Devoted family man, cherished by his family, his grown kids love spending time with him, which is a goal of mine. He prioritizes people, always showing kindness and putting others first. 2 more bullet points here. He's a resilient leader, a proven warrior with strong work ethic. He tackles challenges head on with determination and perseverance, building strong, valued relationships. Spence is a warrior and a great leader and a mighty man of God.
That's very nice of them. That's very nice.
When you hear that, what comes to mind?
Well, those 2 individuals you just mentioned, I've known for a few years, and I guess I'm glad that I was able to make an impression on them. And that's all we can hope. And that's, I guess, when I talk to young leaders now, it's like, okay, your example of what you do every day, people see that. When I talk to my kids, I tell them, people see that. How we act, how we treat others, what we do day in, day out. It's, those things matter, and there you go. Because those 2 men you just talked about are going to do that to others. They do it all the time. It's amazing to see. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some people that have impacted you. Maybe one or maybe more, but who comes to mind as one of the first people or somebody that has just believed in you? And tell me about their impact.
So I'm going to throw a name out there, that a gentleman that, as I was transitioning companies and doing this commute into Wisconsin, we talked a little bit about basketball, and I was able to coach a lot of youth basketball. And for a couple of years, I got to coach with a man named Todd Gongwood. So Todd and I have known each other since our sons were very, very little, and he's a faith-based man, really good man, and he inspired me and poured into me when he knew that, I was probably at a low point. My identity was a little bit shaken, but he definitely was one guy that, more through action and being, I had many people that were over the years, but he was one. He was one. Yeah.
And during those times, I'm sure there was times of discomfort and of failure. Do you have just a favorite failure? Maybe during that time, maybe not during that time, just over the course of of your life?
Yeah. So that was definitely probably the one of the biggest, failures, I guess would say, which is, ended up being molding me and sharpening me, hey, I was at the pinnacle of something, and then it was kind of just taken away. So through that, it kind of made me say, okay, what's important, So I had a pastor that was amazing, and the one thing he told me is like, okay, who are you? What are you trying to do? What, and for me, it was he had suggested putting God first. So if you put God first, marriage second, kids third, work after that, you'll be okay, because God doesn't change. He's the same every day. So no matter what I'm going through, that was my foundation, and it helps me every day now, because that's the same no matter what. No matter we're going to like the movie The Matrix. We're going to be dodging those bullets every day we come into work. But God's the same, and we have opportunities every day to make a difference.
Well, I think it's appropriate now that I asked one of your kids what's one of the things that or one of the few things that your dad has taught you? And Drew, Drew had said, amongst all the things, keep God at the center of everything: relationships, goals, work, marriage. So that you shared with him, it's not that I'm in control and bringing God into whatever is convenient, but rather God is in control and how I can glorify him in all that I do. So you just shared that. That's exactly what Drew just said. What's something that you're most proud of?
Most proud of is probably that I've been married for almost 34 years to, the lady who's the love of my life, Peggy, and the compass of my life that keeps me on track. Because, we complement each other, but she has done an amazing job over the years. Hey, go back over here. You're way off here, and been real with me. So that's probably what I'm most proud of.
What would be another thing that you're most proud of?
Number one is that we've been able to model Christ in our lives. That's number one. That's more important than anything. And then, of course, very, very proud of the kids, the grandkids. Just we've been very fortunate there, and it's been very proud of that. And then proud of the opportunities through a vocation of going to work, of all the people that had conversations with over the years, all the people that we've hopefully helped. And it just seems like, every day is an opportunity, and what are we going to do with that? And didn't realize that early on, but as I've gotten older, and especially this last 5 years, that's one of the things I've really enjoyed. Work's not perfect. Business isn't perfect. We got to make money here at the business to make sure, but it does give us opportunities to have a ripple effect through the community, through all these families.
Yeah, you've got obviously we've got a job to do here at the company. There's got to be a return on the work that we put in. We understand that. But part of your job is sometimes having hard, difficult conversations.
Yeah.
How do you have those? Do you have a framework and approach that you lead with to make those have better outcomes?
So most of the time, I've got myself in the right mindset through prayer and through gratitude that I'm prepared for most conversations. I guess I feel like I'm sometimes a father now where, younger in your career, you don't have that knowledge. You don't have that experience of how to handle that curveball that's going to be coming at you with an employee. But now it's real, and we give real advice, and we try to lead people in the right path. And, I've always, I don't like preaching to people about my faith, but it's more the foundation, it's the model, and if they're interested, I'll tell them more. But if I do the right things, if I love on them, if I share with them, if I really, care about them, those things will come out and it'll be easier to talk.
You said real advice. What real advice would you give to a younger Spencer?
Younger Spencer is, don't chase the money. Because I think early on in my career, I was about, okay, hey, I could climb this ladder, I can make more money, I can provide for my family that way. Whereas as I got older, I realized that it's more about the relationships. All that's going to happen by working hard and doing that, and the culture and the trail you leave is more important.
And how did you arrive at that? Was there a point in your life that was it kids getting a little bit older and maybe missing out on some things? What was it?
I try, even when I was commuting to Wisconsin, I would try to make most everything. And that was one of the reasons I eventually, Drew was, I think, a junior in high school. I was like, I can't miss a game. I mean, I would, so I think that, there's definitely trials and tribulations in you're never, if you think that if everything's going to always be great, you're fooling yourself, because the next hurdle is coming up. We don't know what it is yet, but it's coming up, and how do you deal with it? Hopefully I build a foundation to handle whatever that is coming up.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about some of the things that maybe have helped build that foundation. You mentioned books earlier. Mm-hmm. Do you have some favorite books that you'd recommend to other leaders or aspiring leaders?
So when I got hooked on books, I mean the seven effective
It's Seven
Stephen
Habits. Yeah.
Covey,
Yep.
yeah. So I had that, and then I became a big John Maxwell fan.
Okay.
John Maxwell, I didn't really know who he was at the time, but his books were pretty easy to read, and they always said the same thing, and he'd break them down, he'd do the same thing. I mean, it's always the same thing. So those were always good. And then as I've gotten older, I read lots of different books or listen to podcasts now. Andy Stanley's a pastor down in Georgia. I really enjoy him.
Mm-hmm.
He was good from the family side, but also the business side. And then John Gordon's another good one. My buddy Todd Gongwer, I enjoyed his book, Lead for God's Sake. And then I've got my son has actually written a book, and it's kind of funny because a lot of his book is it's called Rooted Influence, and it's about sports. It's about faith, so it's a couple of things I really enjoy. So that's a good book as well. So
was that? Yeah, he's a newer author. I mean, was that a big surprise? I'm sure you saw greatness in him as a kid. Now as a young or an adult, was that a surprise to you and the wife?
Yes, that he wrote a book. Yes, we had no idea it was coming. It's like, you wrote a book, okay, and we didn't know this at all. And he's published it. So Rooted Influence, Ryan Lutz. Okay, there you go.
Well, as you're juggling, things here at American Millwork, and then you've got family, and then you've got hobbies. I guess, how do you find balance in all of that? Do you have structured time off? What do you do to recharge?
Yeah, and that's probably one of the things I've struggled with most. I mean, it used to be, okay, I'd love to go away to a beach and just get unplugged for a week. Haven't done that as much lately, but I think I've found more recharging just a simple evening with my wife. That's, there's been a little bit different way of recharging. And recharging, too, is making sure I'm physically fit. When you get my age, Craig, you got to work out a little bit more. You got to eat healthy. So what I put in my body, I got to be careful with that. Those are ways to recharge because, there's not a lot of time, to take off. There'll be someday, but until then, I mean, we got a job to do here. We got a job to do with the family, and God's got a job for us to do.
Well, what habits do you have on a daily basis that you do, whether it be in the morning, in the evening, or just with the family here at the American Millwork?
Yeah. So habits are making sure I wake up early and get a workout in. That's pretty important. If I can get a workout in before work, listen to my usually my Bible readings on the half-hour drive here, and then when I first get here, I like to do a walk of kind of gratitude. It's interesting, and people don't know I do that until now. Is I'm grateful, and I kind of to myself, I'm grateful for Chad, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful that we have this opportunity, I'm grateful we have a customer. But you kind of say those things to just and just put me in the right mindset.
That's pretty special.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, and we've seen some pretty cool things. Got some pretty cool people here, and it's fun.
What time does the alarm go off in the morning?
Alarm goes off for 5. 5 is if I I try to 5 a.m. got to get up and going. Yeah.
Is that even during March Madness time period,
Yes.
and then also NBA Finals?
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to bed at halftime last night. I know. It's hard.
Well, okay. Well, how do you decide what you say yes to and what you say no to, which I think is a very challenging thing for anybody, whether regardless of if you're a leader or not.
Right. Well, you got it. So you again, God's at the center. So he's gonna dictate some things I just won't say yes to. So there's hopefully they're family things, they're work things, they're wholesome things. So that puts a lot out. I don't golf hardly ever anymore. So I mean that's one of the things I said. Okay, I wasn't very good anyway, and it takes a lot of time, takes some finances. I got to put that to the side. Now I would golf if my sons wanted to go do a scramble with 3 of us. I would do that probably, but those are the do's and don'ts of. A lot of times when it's not work-related, it's family.
A couple of fun questions here to round out the interview. What's a purchase of $100 or less that you've made in recent time that's made an impact?
So I saw that question on your sheet. And I didn't have a good answer, but I've got a recent purchase. And it's more about time. So I was able to do a date night with my two of my grandsons. They're 3 and 5, and we took them. I took them personally putt-putting for the first time, and it was hilarious and it was fun, and we had it was amazing. But that was probably an inexpensive purchase, but more about the time we spent together and teaching them how to play putt-putt. And they were so amazed in the 18th hole when the ball didn't come back.
How old are they again?
Almost 5 and just turned 3.
What about one of the most worthwhile investments you've made over your life?
So, a worthwhile investment was definitely being involved with our church. That was, set everything else up. And then the next thing besides my wife is the investment we were able to make with our children in travel basketball. We had 4 kids play college ball, but the time that we spent in the gym, the time we spent with so many friends, they're still friends of ours, and the investment to be with them was, I can't take that back. I mean, it's not cheap, and it took a lot of time, but that was probably number 1 by far.
Which is great to hear, because you hear about travel sports, youth sports, sometimes dividing families, and from the outside looking in, it appears as though you guys figured that out somehow. I guess what was the approach to make sure that we are still a tight knit group?
Yeah, we were fortunate that the kids all played the same sports, but there was some divide and conquer to that. But again, we had the foundation of God, and then our marriage, and then the kids, and the kids the basketball. We made it fun. So that's how we did it.
If you had a billboard and you could put any message on it to communicate to the whole world, what would it be?
So on that one, a billboard, I would put God's grace is enough, because I think the world needs to hear that His grace, what He did for us, trumps everything else.
And the last question I've got for you: what's one of the kindest things someone's done for you?
So many, there's been many kind things over the years. Kind things when we were going through different things with our marriage, different things with our family and deaths and things. But a work-related kind thing that really stuck with me was one of my managers. He had picked up this daily devotional, and he gave it to me as a gift. And we talk about it once in a while. And that to me just meant a lot, that he, outside of things, thought of me and just wanted to have that relationship with me.
Well, what final thoughts would you like to share, just as it pertains to leadership, and just your journey to get to where you're at today? And obviously, we know that there's more work to be done, but what final thoughts would you have?
Take it day by day, follow your vision, have fun. Have fun. I mean, we got to have fun. There's sometimes that it can be a real grind, but you got to make it fun. So I guess that would be one of my things. It sounds pretty simple, but it's just true. Got to have some fun.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I always enjoy our time together, as many others do. Clearly, I've mentioned a few of them already, but this has been a treat for me, and it's no surprise that you've got a thriving company, you've got a thriving marriage, and a thriving family. So, with keeping God at the center, obviously, good things have worked out really well for you. So, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thanks for having me, Craig.
All right, well, that's it for this week's episode of The Path Less Traveled with the president of American Millwork, Spencer Lutz. Until next week, have a great day.